have a special friend here tonight. I don't know if you heard about it, but my student Max is here. My friend.
That's wonderful.
Max, who writes wonderful songs, and he's going to talk a little bit about writing text. Celeste, I see Celeste. Thank you. Wonderful. And there's Daniel's father.
Oh, nice.
Paul Kester, age 99.
Oh my God. Paul's joining us?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
I guess it's good timing. It's only 4 o'clock
That's
now.
wonderful. And Terry's here. I'll just
Wonderful.
wait a little longer and then get started. And you saw the agenda, Lisa, just regularly. We let Rabbi go first because he can get called away at any moment. So.
I think I should be here most of the time today, so we will see.
That's
Depending on the timing, I should be able to be.
We'll see, and then somebody
I won't
goes
guarantee
ahead
it.
and dies or something. Don't say those
I would be
things.
surprised if, as soon as we start talking, that's what happens.
What did they say? Man plans and God laughs.
Yeah. We claim that as a Jewish saying, but it's probably a global saying.
What would Jewish people say?
Well, that's a Yiddish saying. If you were from Germany, you'd say that. I don't know. That is, a man plans, God laughs. That's the Yiddish expression.
What's a Yiddish thing?
Should it go here instead?
Well, it's going to pick up the sound of the fan.
Okay. It'll probably look up.
And his name is C.Q.
So that's good.
Oh,
Okay. Stay where you are.
When I was down there, it was like you were crotching guitar on face where it's supposed to like.
Actually, I think we have some.
yeah, hold on to the footstools. Totally not finished with it. Danny, did you see his guitar? Danny bought me when we were young. We went to LA our first Thanksgiving. We didn't know each other. We grew up there.
Really?
So I said, I can get to him. I can't play.
These fidget toys.
Yes, if you want some plans, they're really fun. That's how I get through all the concerts that I have to go to Rabbi Alex. Because now I have to go to orchestra, band,
Right.
chorus, everything, so I did it with them.
All the Christmas music, right?
That's cool. There's no water.
I have some.
Oh, it's Paul that the sure is there.
Shiri came also. Wow.
Can you
Oh, it's so blurry out there.
Hi, Shiri.
Hey, Shiri.
Love you.
Joanne, can you mute everyone? Except,
The great view.
That's the power, right?
It's true.
Recording in progress.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Before we get started, I want to thank Rabbi Alex Lazarus Klein and Executive Director Joanne Marquesi for their continued support of the Buffalo Corner. I want to thank my husband Daniel and my friend Jordana Hepburn, who tirelessly assist me with things that I am not, absolutely not good at, such as computers that's what a poet is, I'm thinking. Someone who doesn't respond well to computers or deadlines, but listens to other cues. I'm thinking about the Nobel Prize-winning poet Václav Miloš, who defined a poet as somebody who always thinks about something else. I also wish to thank my friend and student who is here, Max Goldhirsch, for taking the time out of his busy schedule to join us here tonight. And he's going to play 3 of his new songs and talk about his writing of songs, blending words and music. Now, I learned in Europe, driving around from Copenhagen to Malmö, that the latest buzzword in the art world is artivism. A combination of art and activism. And it's now flowering at art schools and universities here in Europe. Much of it sprung from the Black Lives Matter movement, seeking equality and equity through art. I was delighted to hear that their spearhead is James Baldwin, the African-American author who is now having a renaissance and reaching a whole new generation. Baldwin wrote, quote, "Neither love nor terror makes one blind. Only indifference makes one blind," end quote. And don't we love a negative definition? And here's a quote for the day. I'm not going to comment on the political situation, but here we go. James Baldwin, quote, "It is certain, in any case, that ignorance allied with power is the most ferocious enemy justice can have." So I listened to this hour-long BBC report on artivism, where writers, professors, artists aired their views and love for James Baldwin, for his insight, his analysis of race, inequality, and gender. But not one of these enthusiastic people addressed how James Baldwin writes. Where does the quality come from? The tenacity, the tercity. So their focus was on what, not how, on content, not artistry. So here I am hoping that the next generation who will discover James Baldwin's writing, and it is worth exploring, that they will come to appreciate not only what he did or wrote, but also how. And now it is my pleasure, as always, thank you, Rabbi, to welcome Rabbi Alex to say a few select words and read a poem or 2 or 3, please.
Oh, look how clear that is. Well, thank you, Gunilla. Thank you, and it's always an honor. I have a very short one today because we have a long program. I want to make sure we get to all the wonderful writing today and music. This is called Escape Hatch. Every day is just
A little closer so we all hear well.
Every day is just another day until it isn't. Every moment is filled with possibility until it's not. The trick is not circling dates on a calendar or preparing for the worst. It's letting the shoes drop, and when they do, affixing them to your feet, and when no one is looking, walking away.
A little bit. Start. away.
As you walk
As
away.
he walks away over the pearl home. Thank you, Rabbi. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce our first featured reader, Lisa Ruaway, whose warm and genuine voice always attracted my, it's some people you can't listen to and some people you want to hear more from. And she has that kind of a voice that kind of balances between history and future, her family's background, and now raising kids in America. Lisa Ruaway is a poet from the Boston area who grew up in America with parents both from Portugal. Her poems explore cultural and linguistic difference with a deep personal insight and a refreshing lack of judgment. Her work has appeared in Lily Poetry Review. I'm a little jealous now. The MacGuffin Folio and elsewhere. And when she's not chasing after her two kids, she works as a technical writer. Please welcome Lisa.
Thank you for having me here tonight. It's such an honor to be reading at this event. So the first poem I'd like to read is titled On My Birthday. I live inside where gravity comes and goes, suspended. I'm a trapeze artist upside down, lifting the past like dumbbells. The weight is knowing I once was a child running towards a sweet caress. I was a bow and a bend to the promise of who I'd be. I was sorry in 2 languages. The next poem I'd like to read is titled Winemaking. This poem is actually in the form of a sestina. To describe what a sestina is comprised of 6 stanzas with 6 lines, with the last stanza only having 3 lines. But I think what's significant to mention is that each one of these stanzas have 6 words that are repeated in a very specific and different order. So all that is to say is that you'll hear repeated words, and that's entirely intentional. So winemaking. They are sweet, red and green, heavy on our vines, plump fruit dropping like soft stones ripe for the press against my tongue. I pick stems clean, savor the seeds meant for the barrel. And my father, he buys more grapes to barrel, transforms them to 200 gallons of wine, the only sweet water he drinks from a tall glass and swallows clean. Fruit from our vine and the purchased ones compressed in their wooden crates are ready to drop into a barrel, drop like yesterday's anger into the barrel. He frees wild sprigs, presses mound after mound of sweet berries into a metal crusher. A body once vined is now squeezed clean. Flesh hits the bottom barrel clean like heavy rain. Even the skin drops intentions. They fall from his mind, a vine he mashes with a 2x4 while looking down the barrel. He stakes purple must, still sweet, still lumped. The pressure is my father's watchful eyes, pressing it to be more than it was, to be clean and red, to bubble and rise, vanish sweetness, become the strong, dense liquid it must be, drop its form in the confines of the barrel, flourish without the vine. The juice from any vine he pours into jugs, prepares the rest for the press, takes the last sticks and sediments from the barrel, piles them into the press's wooden cage, cleaning out vestiges of the past. He drops pressure plates on the unsweetened bones, swings the ratchet press, barrels down until drops arrive from broken vines, until sweet change runs clean off its stem. So the next poem I'll be reading is titled New Year's Day Family Recipe. Bacalhau à Bom Chassá. So bacalhau dish made with bacalhau, which is codfish. So as I'm reading this poem, you'll probably hear some of the additional ingredients that also go into this dish. My parents slice without a cutting board, make the knife abide, create a perfect long ribbon from the thinnest peel, naked boiled potatoes hot in their hands. I wondered where the feeling went all the time they cut into fire like it didn't burn. But I was old enough to withstand heat. My hands joined theirs in the search for bones. My father pulled out the spine first, ripped from boiled white flesh so the body could break in hand. My mother and I find the small ones, sharp like thorns, like a strange family. We remove them before they cut us from the inside. Next, layer by layer, we arrange perfect rounds, potatoes, fried onions, and shredded fish. Bury the past in a dish, a sacrifice to the deep metal pan. We top it all with whole olives, oil, and sliced boiled eggs, reconciled with a dozen bright yolks, the only stars anyone can rely on. The next poem I'll be reading is called My Father's Body. My father passed away in 2021, and since his death, I've been writing a lot of poems about him. This poem in particular is in the form of a palindrome. So if I were to define that form, I would say that it's a poem that is a mirror image of itself. So when I read the second half of this poem, you'll probably hear the first half being right backwards. So, my father's body. I wasn't prepared for the body, the stillness of it, a life muted, how the gray sets in, how small a man can be. The stillness of him, a life muted in a hospital room, thin blankets against his rails of bone. How the gray sets in, the breath still in him. I learned how small a father can be when I'm too afraid to touch him. To touch him when I'm too afraid, how hollow a father can be. I learned to still breathe as the gray sets in, rails of bone against thin blankets in his hospital room, in stillness, a life muted, how gone a father can be when the gray begins. Stillness, our lives muted, I wasn't prepared for my father's body. So the next poem I'll be reading is titled Monument. My mother can't commit to a stone, the one meant for her and my father. She's the one who has to decide between mountain rose, china gray, a glistening jet black that catches the light and reflects our faces back to us. I'm the one who explains the choices of finish, helps her leaf through catalogs of engravings, shapes, the weight and size of rock. Isn't this one too big, too heavy to have a stand on top of the body, she asks. And I don't want to be the one to tell her how it doesn't matter now. He's vaulted underground, but the question hung over us, pressuring like a lid. I should have been the one taking notes all the times my parents told me how to do something right. Let myself consider the logical order, the sequence of events that follow after aging parents choose their joint plots. They showed me once the proof of purchase, told me how they shopped around, asked the grave diggers for recommendations as if planning a vacation or hotel stay. They chose a spot on higher ground where I didn't flood or easily succumb to mud. It's a reality that seeps through later. I'm standing beside my father's bed. He's sick, refusing an ambulance, telling me I should go, leave, be with my family, as if that word didn't apply to me and them anymore. And now I'm here, calculating the cost of black granite, asking my mother to choose from curved flowers, laser-engraved images, the length of a rough-edged base where all the support comes from. This next poem I'll be reading is titled A Bop for Home. This poetic form was created by poet Appa Michael Weaver. I guess to describe the form a little bit, it has a refrain, a repeated line, and there are 3 stanzas, and my understanding is that the first stanza introduces a problem, the second stanza explores it, and the third stanza comes to some sort of conclusion or resolution. This is my interpretation and attempt at writing one. A bop for home. Home was someone else's before it was my own. 100 years old, linoleum curling, paisley wallpaper ripping at the seams. My parents' bedroom is a dining room without the dining. A cracked gilt ceiling and a used brown crib that's gone, but never really gone. Was a room I ran into and closed the door. Where the heat didn't bother me, it was a place for hiding, for old stains, for tiptoes, weathered walls, and my parents aging against their will. What's missing feels gone, but never really gone. Even when I find a new home, make it my own. Fill it with kids, TVs, make it so I belong. Then I let it become me, new skin that sees through paint, load-bearing walls. The patterns in my mother's crocheted doilies. Home's gone, but never really gone. The next poem I'll be reading is titled Lembrança, a talking charm. So lembrança is a Portuguese word that, depending on how you use it in a sentence, can mean memory, recollection, or souvenir. I wore a memory around my neck after my father died. I untangled its knots, let it fall over me for 2 years as I fed and held a newborn, lost myself in a calendar. I've worn it like a veil, let it cover me to preserve the girl who could still be his daughter. The chain, a deep yellow gold, 19 carats dropping its charm, wildflowers in the design. Once tucked in a drawer, stashed because I was afraid of misplacing it, letting it fall down the drain. Kept it latched in its box, hidden under folded clothes an intruder would mistake for nothing. I never wore it on a train where someone could see it, resting on my chest and pull it away from me. I kept it there in the knowing I knew. My father gave me this necklace when I was 5 in the city of keys and cobblestones. He held its clasp chain long enough to fall over me without breaking. The necklace with its single charm, lembrança da pai, remembrance of the father. And even then, I knew this wasn't a biblical father without a face, but my father, the one I never thought I could lose. The next poem is titled Everyday Plates. Once they shined, radiantly emerged from the dark end of a cabinet, accessible only by standing on a chair. My mother reached for them, arranged them on a table like a bouquet for special occasions. We carefully used them before they were cleaned, towel-dried, stacked on the high shelf for another birthday, graduation, celebration. Never for daily use, not for fried fish, weekly stews, or broccoli raw rice. And so, years later, when my parents split them among their children, they were faded, fork lines, cross-hatched like my skin, nearing 40, flower petals dull at the surface, a gold outline chipped at the edge. I took my share, brought them home, didn't question if they were too delicate, too special to let my fork carelessly fall onto them. I didn't ask if I should stop my knife from slicing into the heart of them. I already knew I could. So the next set of poems I'll be reading are focused on motherhood. I have 2 young daughters, one is 8 and the other is 3, and they often are part of my poems. I never knew wildlife. I didn't know it could dwell outside me, outside my awareness, run upon my overgrown grass, where it weaves between the swings that came with the house, fall against dirt, because even dirt has its edges, a line someone crossed with attention. Didn't know I could rub its pelted skin against light, could arrive in the form of 2, exposing their soft bellies as a mother watches. A mother is always, always watching. This next poem is called Toddler Years, and it is also a sestina. I thought I was patient, but I'm not even close. Can't make myself rock, find the rhythm of it in some lullaby. Mother, her happy, her small body, all limbs, can't soothe in my arms. Now she moves without me knowing how any body moves and stays on its axis. No predicting, no closing in on the right response. Can't calm the small giant before me. I want to rock her, tell her in a small gentle voice, I'm her mother, but I don't have all the answers. Can mother of the future tie it in a sweet little bow? Can move a mountain of wills, undo small mistakes, close the door, then open it again. Can rockabye feeling on the rise? I can soothe. Sometimes I forget how to breathe. Can't console myself with the knowledge that mothering is hard. Today is a new lesson on how to rock forwards, not rush into anger, not let my voice move a dial too high until she cowers, closes herself, until she's small again. I'm protecting her from the small and big dangers, showing her a world that can't, that won't stop her from falling close to a hard edge. I have to be the one who draws limits, smother her with truths until she learns to move without me hovering, teaching her how to not skyrocket towards fleeting emotion. That cradle rocks my nerves. Maybe this isn't just a small truth, but a big one for me. The one where I move past all that I can't fix, can't placate with a hug and a kiss. I'm the mother who has to stay away and still be close, show my daughter how to move, find calm on hard rock days. There at times she'll be close, be the small child I can soothe. Other times it'll be me who needs mothering. The next poem I'll be reading is My Daughter Has Pink Eye, which is ironic because this week one of my daughters did have pink eye. You're a lightning rod, cracking red, two mirrors flooding, rain you can't control comes down, seals us like an envelope. Motherhood is a shield for protecting you, the maybe is for deflecting. You're okay. That swelling is a red halo around your edges, where uncertainty oozes. Let me hold the wet cloth to wash the doubt away. So my second to last poem is titled Storyland. My husband and I pack the car, block the rear view, create a blind spot for our 6-day trip. He asks me when we're inside, half joking, half not, how are we going to survive the 3-hour drive, car vomit looming like a foregone conclusion? Our youngest sets the tone, demands princess songs and crunchy snacks. I try to fall in line with the rhythm of us. I like to think I planned for everything I can't prevent. For one daughter, I purchased anti-nausea glasses, 4 lensless circles with a liquid frame that trick her brain into balance. For the little one, I get tummy-soothing bracelets, the ones that hug each wrist, apply subtle pressure where I need it most. It's my husband who calms us best, reassures we'll stop soon, exit soon, arrive soon. When we do, it's easy forgetting the drive, easy to let the sun beat down our sun-blocked arms, reaching for carousels, gift shop toys, Christmas and summer, old fairy tales we know aren't true, as snow cones, mint ice cream, French fries discarded after only a few bites. It's okay, we're on vacation, my husband says, to the girls as they skip pavement, rush towards another spinning memory. My husband and I tell ourselves to remember this one best, even when our girls stand against the height checker. We hope this time we'll measure up. And my last poem today, I'd like to read Bilingual Sestina, which is also another sestina. I was 15 when I realized I could roll my R's, that I could let my tongue bend and fold with my last name. I can't tell you if English was my second language or my first, but the non-English words of home were home without the walls. a song learned for every day, lyrics learned each time I took on the role of daughter, child, translator of home. I learned to let myself fold into, become someone else's voice first before I was my own. I tell my daughters to say hola to my mother on the phone, tell them to ask tudo bem, and repeat the learned phrase, estou bem, first, because how can they not be fine when I'm the role model? They've learned to fold as I do, and we're echoes of home, when it's not really the home I knew. I say the words, tell them their meaning, watch sound unfold somewhere in their mind, hoping they'll learn the rhythm of it rolling off their tongue first, like song or water, the first syllables forming on their lips. Our home could be one where we roll from one language to another without me telling them how to speak. They'll learn to say it loud, let sound manifold. Their days won't be ones where they fold down the middle, make themselves small first to some new responsibility, and then to me. They'll learn a language outside of home, where I'm no longer the arbiter of words, telling them what to say. They'll learn to roll away from me, unfold a day, this home, whatever comes first. There's no telling my daughters to learn and roll with it. They'll say everything they have to say.
Oh, yeah. Wow, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. You remind me about how to find meaning in all that's around us, and how a knife can be so threatening and so sharp and good at the same time. I lost my father 2 years ago, so I appreciate those things as well. And now you made me remember being in France when I was about 17 years old, and we harvested the grapes. And they put all the grapes in the press, and we walked around in galoshes, mind you. And we were not allowed to do it alone, because people actually fainted once the sugar came in. And then out from the press that first day came a pink. They called it the paradise, in Paradiso. And we all got a glass, and we all got to put on silver clothes, normal clothes, and we drank that pink stuff and got very drunk. Anyways, thank you so much. And now it's my special pleasure to introduce Max. Daniel has to rearrange a little bit. So Max and I have played guitar together for what, 8, 9 years, something? 10? It's gone by like that. We've had a good time. And he has made a name for himself here as an actor and a singer, doing musicals, plays, professionally and locally in various ways. And he has produced 3 albums, I believe, now, of songs that you can find on YouTube, Apple Music, and Spotify. So if you like a little bit what you hear, you can just Google him, Max, and it's Goldhirsch with an S-C-H. Max is one of my favorites, so I'm going to stop talking now and let him.
Strum something, see if the audience can hear you.
Make sure it's loud enough, Daniel, so we can hear.
Can people at home hear it? Can people at home hear this?
No.
No?
They probably need that microphone.
Yes, I can hear.
Then put the other
Joanne,
microphone
can
down.
you hear?
I
I heard
listened
the
to that
last
one
time.
Oh, you know, a lot of times the Zoom doesn't receive music without, it needs a
Oh,
special.
here we go.
Yeah.
There, it's right.
I remember Zoom being weird with music.
Yeah, it has happened before, that we couldn't get it through.
There might be a special setting you need. I remember we did this years ago.
Yes.
You wanna see? Hi, so I'm Max Goldhirsch, and this is my mom. And I have 3 songs for you today, all originals. And I'll talk a little bit about what went into writing them afterwards. So this first one is called Romeo, and I wrote it a few months ago, I think, and around April. And my mom will be singing. So this is Romeo. Flowers in your hair, acting like you don't care, it's coming back around. Falling in love was a big song, I'm going to switch guitar solo. This next song I actually wrote a lot more recently, and it kind of has an interesting story behind it. And I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but sometimes when it gets cold, there's these little ladybugs that show up in your house. And I've noticed a few of them in the past few months, and well, it inspired me to write this song about them, because sometimes when you're having a hard time, little things like that, it shows that not everything's all that bad. Butterfly, 2 weeks and they die. The others less shy, making his home in high. He comes from the window, or maybe the vent. He found a way out, but I don't know where he went. Falling down softly, his wing like an oar drifts over the sorrow left on the floor. Shaking off water, he clears his eyes. Spotty red angel lifting to the sky. Ladybug fly. Ladybug fly. Winter night, how long will he bide? My palm open wide won't keep him by my side. He isn't attached to the warmth of my hand. His color has truth that I'll never understand. My room has been empty 2 months and 2 years. The dust is collecting on dry tears. The air has gone stale in this casket of birch, where stained glass windows shine like my church. Now ladybug fly. Ladybug fly. Ladybug fly. Ladybug And this last song I wrote, I think also around April. I wrote a lot of these in the spring. And this one, it's a lot. I was going through a really rough time, to kind of put it plainly. And I don't really know how else to describe it, but this song is called Bon Out.
I'm sorry, say that again?
It's called Bon Out. In French, it means good out.
thank you, Max, for supporting my idea that it's the how and not the what. Well, it's the what, of course, but it's also how that you learn the traditions, the sestina, the palindrome, you try it out, the rhyming, the song text, his diphthongs, Romeo, you are alone. I mean, this takes an ear for language as well as for music. If I taught this young man anything, I am very proud of it. I'm not going to deal with the long introduction since you all know me more or less, and I just wanted to mention I came to the United States as a Fulbright student, a scholar when I was 24, and I have enjoyed years of being the foreign English professor. You try that on for a gig. You were talking about the butterfly, and it made me remember, let me see if I have it here. We had our cantor, Susan Whaley, who died in the crash of Flight 347. Never mind, I don't think I wrote it. But after her death, there was all these sightings of ladybugs all over. Alexia Zervia talks about it all the time. And once Daniel and I, we went up to buy some baby kid stuff at IKEA, and when we came out in the parking lot, industrial parking lot, and there was a ladybug on my window, and I'll never forget it. Anyways, now I'm going to read a few poems. Daniel, you're in charge of the time, please, because I didn't have a chance to time myself. I'm going to read some poems that are published. You will find them all. Sorry? You're done? Some of them are published, some of them are not, and you can find them all, especially the published ones, on my website. And tonight's performance by Max and Lisa and all the other Buffalo Corners are recorded, and they are on my website, so you can go back and hear them again. Better not. Better not return to the old ways, when we knew where we and others we met grew up by their pronounced or swallowed vowels, consonants, making them buzz, burr, brighten, or zip in our ears with a clang, or their manners a certain hand gesture, older than Alexander the Great, and most of all, the shoes. Those old gossips. At the grill bar by the train station, we laughed at the robust, ugly shoes of the Americans, yet gave them beer so they would talk to us in English. The gate and the port to out and away. At night, we drove to the local airport and sat in the empty bleachers and waved at the planes, dreaming of America, large brown paper bags filled with food we saw and smelled in the movies. Coming home, the sad drinking man had tripped on our doorstep again, was bloody and weeping. Better not feel again stones so old they grow like cold skin, trees wrapped in furs, clouds kissing windows and smoking on balconies, copper roofs climbing slowly toward heaven, grass locked under leaves, a hidden fugitive. O city of youth, in my mind you hold me still. And here's a very new one. The empty mailbox. I watched the row of mailboxes down my street. Too many screaming mouths, many silent jaws. I approached cautiously, walking with bare feet, crunching dry leaves, thinking of my claws. A burning bush calls my guttural name. The voice of my father preferred a fire. He's come across continents to claim the daughter he wanted as a slave to hire. What the dead see, I don't know. Only sharp eyes crushing their silence. My need to be unseen, lying low, like some cold, useless appliance. I remember stepping on a shard of broken glass, cutting my foot, wound bleeding into sand and salt. A pain that never really did entirely pass. But after all these years, I know it wasn't only my fault. Now some of you here remember our wonderful Hebrew teacher, Diane Ponticles. It's
It was
10
her
years.
anniversary.
10 years.
This was her anniversary of this past week.
Yes, 10th, the 10th of December. She was my Hebrew teacher, and since I started studying Hebrew again with a different teacher after 10 years, I wrote this poem for her. For all of us older, I'm sorry looking at you, Kim. For all of us old women, you are not included. So we advance and retreat. Our goal is glorious and heroic, even for two aging women linked by luck, background, and difference, at the kitchen table with walnuts and Stilton cheese, my daughter drawn in against her will to correct my Hebrew. I salute her career as a teacher, now long established. It was not that long ago. It was ages ago. How I argue with myself, just like Kafka. But I know it was real then, at the old kitchen table. And you taller than my mother's walnut tree, with its late leaves greening. And I hoped the husk and the wrinkly shell would protect you, but they didn't. We celebrate birthdays to forget about death. Fool me here 10 years later, reaching for a lost and dead language, ready to sweep it up and caress and keep it, crunchy and alert as you were, and as ready to return. Now there's something called the American sonnet. I call it a decolonized sonnet. That is, all the Roman and British rules have gone out the door, and only the 14 lines remain of the iambic, blah, 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 or the rhyme scheme. So I have tried a few of them, and here's one I read at my father's funeral. It's Swedish. My translation was so good. It's called Nightfall. The best is when I kick open the side door and meet a mist woven like a Berber carpet, hiding a pool of mud I discovered too late, sleeping, and a bucket of peels from last night's dinner kicked over by the wild rabbit with ears longer than my fingers or the groundhog, knowing I'm about as smooth as a number 60 grit sandpaper, the only one awake. I see in the sudden rain we needed and didn't expect. The almond tree come closer, deep alabaster lit by slanted outside beams, while I keep an eye on our fences. I wish I could put my hand in the bird bath filled with leaves, mustard smell of stagnant water, wanting to stretch my body among waves eloquent, free of these spaces. And oh, here's the poem for Cantor Susan I was looking for. Because of the ladybugs, you made me think of it. How long has it been? 2009? 19 to almost 25, yeah, it's been 15 years. It's called Such a Stranger. It's based on a dream I had that she was trying to come and visit me. Such a stranger, leading nowhere, the side street gleams with promise like a luxury liner all lit up. An unanchored board divides mist. Dusk bleeds into night, drifts slowly in a dark space, the way rain grips leaf and stone before seeping into the dry ground. Your voice echoes in that room. How can I visit when your doorbell is broken? For a sense of self, I cling to lack and feed on absence. I was asleep the night you died. Now I wake up every morning, making sure what's missing is still here. Now sometimes to just sit down and write can yield some results. And this is one of those 2-minute, late night, before going to bed thing that I really like it. I don't know why, but here it is. It's called The Secret of Night. To feel the lower slopes reaching up while going down, down toward the sea tasting salt. As if the mountain couldn't make up its mind to rise or sink, run or drown. We live here, half flying, half floating, unclear of how to rinse, who we resemble as uncertain about top and bottom as we are of our color, our history, and our God. Now those of you who have heard me read before know I love to put unpoetic things into poetry. And so I wrote a series of poems about a colander. You all know what a colander is, right? A thing with holes that you rinse your pasta in. So this is Colander Fragment 1. It's a persona poem written from the perspective of the colander. And it really also is a tribute to my mother-in-law. Because, anyways, you'll find it. Colander Fragment number 1. She, that is me, she, the old lady, she thinks she can fool me, Colander. That old woman in the kitchen with her nice and strong hands, as if she too isn't full of holes. I know something about holes, how we plug them and drill them, open with toothpicks or flood them in a deluge worthy of Noah. I hear her mutter about her mother-in-law, who said her view out the window was better than her daughter-in-law's, even as they looked out the same window. And maybe she was right, seeing her mother died in the camps. Thunder wakes roots, and they begin to march down the street again. Rain widows the view. I Margaret tell her daughter, be a Viking, sturdy like the colander, and let the rain drain through. Daughter out there, running, blinded, boys on bicycles, praying widows the window. Don't keep anything, let birds speak your memory. Raindrops like holes, colander solidly uncertain. High blooming, pregnant daughter loves the scent of dirt, wants to inhale it. Mother and daughter go back and forth, exchanging one chair for another, like writing a word and crossing it out. Write yourself into a corner and fight yourself out. Silence of thunder, she thinks she doesn't hear. Whatever she places in me for safekeeping, I'll store. I know that what she wants her too. All those lost people. Her work resembles mine as she wrestles with words, rinsing them at her sinking desk, writes them, trusting they will recover the whole. How are we on time, monsieur? I want to read this poem because it's the only ekphrastic poem I've ever written. An ekphrastic poem describes a painting, and in this case, you know the painting, I think all of you, it's called The Kiss by Gustav Klimt, a very golden, fancy painting. And some of you have seen the movie about Maria Altman, A Woman in Gold. And I was interested in how he did this golden sheen. And so the poem is really about a detective investigation into the painting. And the clue comes at the very end, so you have to stay awake. It's called It Brings a Perspective. The most scandalous ingredient of this famously scandalous painting, bought by the state of Franz Josef I, even before it was finished, so goes the story, and hung in its narrow, tall frame in the capital's most admired museum, a building competing with the palace itself, and as dusty, if you ask me, overlooking a sun-basted square filled with the dry heat of the Emperor of Austria, King of Hungary, the ruler of all the states and cities of the Habsburg monarchy, including Spain and Bohemia. Its most scandalous feature is not the cheeky scene that portrays the famous kiss, the man's face invisible, her leg lifted, foot stretched, toes bending, his hands holding her face, a radiant gem, as brilliant as the gold leaf background mixed with silver leaf, and flat, without perspective, as is true of such ecstasy, that tends to erase background and belonging. But the bitter, pervasive rumor, nowhere confirmed, yet trailing the rich artwork, that the artist used not just gold and oil to create the luscious, luminous surface, but included a most plebeian component, and not as one would assume in the background, but in the very varnish that covers the whole canvas. He mixed in amber dust and cat piss. All right, I think I'm going to finish with this poem some of you have heard before, since we have heard some good guitar music. It's called Guitar Shops for Continents. Why, God, is it that when a woman walks into a guitar shop, humble or renowned, the man behind the counter sports a smile, but snakes brings forward his cheapest instrument, pointing to a low chair by the door without a footstool or a moment of peace, while dust and noise stream in, blend with the glory of a Bach prelude, traveling from major to relative minor to the 5/5, and I shake my head while I want to shake the unresponsive guitar, and I really want to shake the young man with his black mustache, which blinds him to the fact that women can play too, and have better rhythm or ear than he does. And what about God, who could turn the driftwood guitar gold? Yes, thank you. Oh, questions? Do we have any questions? Does anybody want to ask a question? We now have a little time for question and answers. You can raise your hand, you can speak up. I wanted to ask Max how he puts words to his melodies. Would you mind saying something about that? I think he's very talented. I didn't teach him any of that.
So my process when it comes to writing songs is, it can be different every time, but how it tends to go is the lyrics are actually one of the last things that come in the process. First, I usually like to develop a musical idea, whether it's a chord progression or a melody, something vocally in the guitar, or I recently just picked up the cello, so something on that. And I find that more often than music, or the progression that comes to me is what inspires the lyrics, and I find from that what I'm expressing to myself. And it's kind of like a scavenger hunt. To find within it the lyrics and the feeling that it gives. So that's kind of my process when writing most music. And recording is a whole other story, but that's kind of how it works for me.
Does sometimes this process you are describing, does it surprise you?
A lot.
In what way would you say?
Sometimes when I'm writing a chord progression and it seems like it's coming from a certain feeling that I'm having, when in reality it's actually from something completely different, something different that happened to me that day, or the month before, or a memory coming back to me from years ago.
Do you want to say anything else? Gentlemen, I hope there will be another time. Does anybody else have any question? You can raise the whatever hand on the screen, or just speak out. Lisa, did you have a question?
I did not, but it was really lovely to hear you play, and the lyrics were wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, in that case, I think I want to wish everybody happy holidays. And we are starting up in January. In January, we have Gary Ross coming back, but as a playwright. So he's going to talk about his plays and act out. You should come. He's a very good actor too. And Stephen Iwano came out with a new Buffalo-based mystery detective story. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but he's a very good writer. And in February, we have two poets, Ida Gutko and the name escapes me now, so that's very good. But it's old age and traveling. It will come to me. In March, we welcome back, can you remember them? In March, we welcome back Irene Cypress and Karen Nicholas. April, as usual, we have the open reading. You should come back. And then and we won't do June this year because June falls on June 19th, and I think a lot of people are busy with other things. And my mom will turn 96 on June 18th, so I think I know about it if she's still alive. So good night, everybody. Thank you so much, and yeah, keep me posted.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, Max.
Getting to the end of every street. Daniel's face is at the beginning and the end of each one.
It's a nice face.
It's nice.
Now, when is this whole thing gonna take place?
The Hanukkah Melodica, I think that's tomorrow. Oh.
Yeah, wait, that was confusing. I thought that was like the street.
No. No, it's tomorrow. I don't know if we're gonna go. I mean, we can because your cat's thing is gonna end fairly early. But I'm thinking we're probably gonna wanna go to dinner with Tata and get a
Oh, okay.
services tomorrow night. For the Hanukkah ukulele, it's like a wrong.
Three days now, Friday, Saturday.
To relax.
And then my evening comes out Monday. I didn't even realize that was on me.
Oh, we come on Sunday? Are we having dinner?
Yeah.
Yes. Lori will be with us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Maybe 4? 3, what's good for you?
I'm open. Whichever time is good.
I think I ended the church, but
Yeah, you'll be home in time for like 3 o'clock, I think, right?
3 or 4?
Or is 4 better?
We are a 3-hour plan.
Yeah. Let's say 3:30, right?
There you go, the conference.
Right.
What do you? Yeah, what do you do? You know what we've done.
Ela's been working, staying up very late. She's had probably the most difficult year of her entire school career.
She goes very close to me, no matter how much she says that. It's huge.
It was nice to come here, that was nice to have music and to listen to those poems about her father.
And then she goes, he goes to my yard. And my kids, my mother,
It's complicated. I really enjoyed her poetry.
yeah, it was.
Isn't she something? What you put into words, one sentence,
Yeah.
she doesn't do this.
Oh, yeah. I'll write a little something and I'll send it to you. She might appreciate hearing some feedback. Yeah.
I think she would really
Yeah.
enjoy that. She has no confidence. She's working on grandchildren. I think she has a very good husband. I've never seen her. You know, and she's just easily intimidated and she feels safe and, so that's why I thought I'll reach her. I was hoping that it was some people that know this.
congregation.
Yes, yes.
That's because he has an excellent teacher.
That's right.
So what date is in the middle of January, right? 16th or
I
something?
think so, yeah.
I didn't have time to actually,
Yeah, it went to print.
get all that clear, but
Right here.
we made it home, oh my God.
Yeah, Diana was telling me.
No, we were just in Sweden and it's
What's the line? Nothing nearby.
Gunilla, is your topping like this one? Like the G series?
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay.
It's old,
Thank
cheap,
you.
and heavy, it's upstairs. I'll bring it down on Sunday. It does not look that fancy.
I got this for $50.
Yeah, that's about what Daniel got now, right, Daniel? Back in the day. Were you too familiar?
But it sounds great.
Oh, that's not.
Definitely worth the
I
investment.
can play steel string, so it was kind of.
It's difficult. It's
Yeah, that was the other question I wanted to ask you, what difference it makes between guitars.
oh yeah.
I didn't have my pen, so I didn't write it down, but we'll talk about that some other time. Did you have to go to school tomorrow?
Yes. I'm gonna have a whole concert for the school in the morning.
What do you do?
I mean, we sing. I'm in every ensemble, so I'll be jumping around, cello, percussion, singing.
Yeah, that's all, I'm ready, these are kids, I guess, so she has to give you that. I'm ready. Yes.
Give me your water bottle, I'll carry on. Where's your water bottle?
See, the thing is, we've been playing down here the whole time, so I have to wonder. Yeah,
And she said to move.
oh, to do what?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff. Oh, yeah, that, using that backdrop up there.
Yeah, you know what, I think it has
Are we
to,
using this thing tomorrow too?
the screen?
Yeah, so then we have to be down here. So we have to be on that side
I
too.
would think right here,
Yeah, right.
because,
Yeah, we don't fit up there anymore.
we're
We're
gonna
gonna
keep
keep
that
that
one
there with the
straight.
screen. They should, they're gonna keep the screen up there. Are they gonna be showing like
Cartoons?
Moana? Are they gonna be showing the movie while service? is going on?
Monica? Yeah, I don't think so.
Are they showing the movie during services?
be over the choir loft or what?
You're gonna be in there. We're gonna take those chairs out, we're gonna put them across.
So we have to, all sorts of things to trip on here, all sorts of wires.